Hey everybody, and before we begin this video, I just want to apologise for the dips in audio quality from time to time. This was recorded over Zoom on a day where both our internets weren't doing so well. Regardless, I hope you enjoy this fascinating conversation. Bye guys.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Atypical Life YouTube channel. Today I'm bringing on another independent creator like myself, but someone who's a bit further down in the field than I am. This is Matt Reynolds of Some Guys with a Camera.
Hello, good to be on.
Oh, great to have you. I brought you on here today because I want to know a little bit more about your company. And if you want to call it a company, that's up to you. I know some people like shy away from the corporate words, but you guys are a collection of younger filmmakers who are actually going out there and doing things during lockdown. And I'm very interested by this. So I'd just love to pick your brain for a little bit if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to know first?
Well, first and foremost, how the hell does someone start a production group at your age? You know, how does that happen? Do you want to tell everybody a bit about, firstly, how old you are, and then how this came along, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I'm 19. Our group ranges from about 18 to 22, 23, kind of roughly. It's all kind of early 20s, I'd say most of our group is, but I'm just so slightly younger. We began by accident. I think that is the most Some Guys with the Camera way for it to have happened. It's the most us way that it had to happen by accident. And basically what had happened was I wanted to make a film, and I'd been making films since I was like 14, 13 or so, but got to about early 2018. I think I was about 16 or something, maybe 15, 16. And I made this film called Look What I've Got in My Shopping Bag. Very bizarre title, which is still isn't as bizarre as the actual film itself. And we needed a platform to put it on because there was no kind of channel to put that on. Like we didn't know where we knew we wanted to release it, but how would you actually do that? You need we can't just upload it on its own channel. That wouldn't work. So I originally started setting up the Instagram page, and kid me not, I did not think twice. Like I just typed in Some Guys. I have no clue how I came up with the name. I think it was just because that was literally what we were. I was kind of just describing ourselves. I wasn't coming up with any sort of title. And then the Instagram was born, and the title just kind of stuck. We didn't come up with any company name after that because it was like, well, that's catchy, that's informal, describes what we do. There we go. And so anything we made after that was then released under that same title, that same company, and it's just been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we've not got too far yet, but we've gone way past the level that I thought we ever could achieve. It's just been incredible.
You need to give yourself the credit that you've actually gone out there and made films. Firstly, at that young, but secondly, more recently during the times of COVID and what have you, you've done. Excuse me, you've done awfully well for yourself, and I think you even had something in Waterloo's Plaza Cinema being shown in the past year, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, we're very, very hardworking people, and I think that's our biggest strength. Some of our stuff might not be the best thing you've ever seen, but I can guarantee you that people have worked their absolute hardest on everything we've done. Like our current project, that's been our lives for the past 9 months. It's kind of like we've never had a day where we've woken up and not had a decision to make about the production of Birchall's Pint. It's just this ongoing thing. We'll go off and do other stuff. We'll work on other projects. We'll do other people's things, but collectively, this production has just been non-stop our lives. And yeah, I think hard working is our biggest what do you call it, attribute.
Your biggest strength, right? I was gonna say, if you had any advice for people watching, probably already the biggest thing I'm gonna hear from you is hard work, because I've been around you, not on set yet, unfortunately. I think that will come someday soon, but I've been around you when you've been talking about these films, when you've been describing them to people, and hard work comes up so much, you know?
Yeah, I think I've been quite unimpressed with a lot of advice that's given, especially be asked by fans, oh, how do I become as big as you? How do I become as successful as you? And the director's like, oh, make movies. And it's like, Oh, that sounds so easy, doesn't it? Like $1 million is just going to come on my doorstep to make a film. Like, that's not good advice saying, oh, just
No.
make movies and it'll come. Like, you need to actually put the work in.
Yeah,
And to be honest, I'm nowhere at the level where I can give you specific advice about the work in.
of
Um,
course.
but yeah, I think there's so much more to think about than just making the film.
Oh, 100%. And what we've got to realize, sorry, is it's not a one-man show. You already know this. You've already credited them quite a bit. But could we put some names to the crew? Who else is part of Some Guys with a Camera?
Yeah, so it's funny because there's not a specific there's not a specific list of people who are actually involved, but the kind of like central partnership, as it were, would be my brother John is a huge part of it. My friend Connor O'Neill, who has been like my closest friend for many years, and so those two I've just mentioned they're actors primarily, but they like to help out with the business side of it. If you're getting more into the business side of it, I've got my assistant director on Birchall's Pints, Ethan Campbell. He is incredibly like dedicated in terms of like he's got so much initiative, so he'll really help get things off the ground. You know, other people not have. You've got other people. You've got Regan Kelly, who's also he came on for Birchall's Pints. Yeah, he's been incredibly like influential and just a really great presence to have within the company. Kobe Brain and Anthony Howard, they've done some of the businessy type side of things for us, which is stuff that I don't have a clue about. So it's been great just kind of having them involved.
Yeah, no, of course, and that's sort of how it is. I wouldn't call you a production company. Again, you're very young in it, but in order to get something like that off the ground, you need layers of people. You need people who know how to do business. You know, you need people who can get the equipment, people who can organize, people who work on all behind the scenes, getting the actors, etc. You know.
Yeah, 100%. It's never just what you see on the screen, but even then, it's never just what you see on the set. Like so many of even like the actors and assistants and stuff, they don't know what's gone on in the making of it. They don't know what's happened in the like 9 months it takes to get it from an idea to filming.
100%. That's and it's always great to hear how full of gratitude people usually are when they do talk about these roles and these people who help along the way. It is very important, I think, to have a big collaborative process. And as you've said, these take a long time. People need to be dedicated. People are going to annoy you. People are going to fight and bicker like brothers. But at the end of it all, you know, you come up with something like the film you made last year, which I'd love to talk with you about.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. But before we talk about that film, how many completed films have you got now? So I know you're in the process of making Birchall's Pints.
Okay, so I think I only counted recently. I'll count for you now. Look what I've got in my shopping bag: Illegal Being, The Music Man, Life and Lyrics, shopping bag 2, Back in Business, Blackbird, Nick and Live Together. So I've made 7. I've made 7 films. One of them's a feature film. All of the others are short films. And my upcoming project, Birchall's Pint, is a 6-part miniseries.
Oh, okay. So you're going out into a different type of content there. How's that? How has that been for you?
I think
go on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So obviously, I've only done film before. I've not really. I made a mini series when I was like 14, but that doesn't really count. I've got no real experience in it. So obviously, when I came up with the concept of Birchall's Pints, I inevitably went to having it as a movie. Yeah. And just the more kind of outlines, like we came up with so many scenarios for it. Oh, what if this happened? But whilst this was happening, this went on, and we couldn't find like one specific plot to use for a film of it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of turned out like, well, you could have one episode where it's this bit, it's this bit, and all these little silly little subplots that you would never get into a feature film, that could just be the show, and they could all just be their own episodes. And that idea just went down a storm, and It hasn't been as hard to make a series as I thought it would. I thought there'd be a lot of different steps, but I guess we're in a time where series and films overlap so much. So if you
Yeah.
want something like Game of Thrones or The Crown, they are up to the cinematic standard of anything you would watch in the cinema. The budgets that are being poured into television and the famous actors they get to do just Netflix shows now, it's just on par with cinema. So I guess we're in a time where like films and television shows, they're made the exact same way. The only difference is that obviously the writing incorporates the separate episodes and you've got to sometimes film them differently, but that's about it.
And if you're doing them episodically, may I ask how many roughly you've filmed? Have you got any completely filmed, or is it just a process of doing bits and bobs?
So the way we've had to do it, like budget and time wise, is that we filmed it all consistently. So we've had to do sometimes some days we've done scenes for 5 out of 6 episodes in the same day because we're filming all of them constantly. So for example, like I think on Tuesday we've got our second to last day of the whole production. We're doing scenes for episode 2, for episode 4 and 6, I think. So that's about average. We're doing 3 episodes. We're doing scenes with 3 episodes that day, but none of the episodes wrap until the second to last day of filming on Tuesday. I think we finished 2 of them on Tuesday, and all the others are kind of done on the other day. So there's no finished episodes yet. There's episodes that are very, very, very nearly finished, but nothing that's fully filmed yet.
Wow, that is a very interesting to me anyway, because I've never worked on a series myself. So hearing how chaotic it sounds almost is very interesting. But yeah, first I'd love to I'd love to come back to you guys getting yourselves into the Plaza in the past year. Those who are local will know the Plaza is a community-run cinema where they do occasionally show independent films. And you were able to get in there for Blackbird, is that right?
Yeah, so that was a full circle moment because the Plaza was how we started out. So in 2017, the very original members of our group, we met on a filmmaking production course that the Plaza Cinema had put on. And so from the very beginning, we've been heavily involved with them. And so as time went on, like we like roughly kept in touch with them.
Yeah.
And in I think December 2019, they invited us back to come and do a screening of our Christmas film Noel. And then December 20, we screened what is currently my favorite film I've done, Blackbird, on the big screen, which was just just an incredible experience.
Oh, I can imagine. I was personally there for that one actually. So I was in the audience. I was watching you do your Q&A, which was very interesting to me because I'd done something similar a few years prior with a documentary I made with them. So just seeing the parallels and seeing generations and generations of people getting to showcase their work for me was very wonderful to see. And I can only imagine the pride you felt in getting that shown, you know?
It's amazing what they do. There's no way they'd let filmmakers like us screen our stuff at Odeon, and maybe that's for very good reason. But at the same time, having the Plaza there, having them help us at the beginning and then help us now is amazing. And like independent cinemas, they do so many amazing things.
Oh, absolutely. They are definitely worth going to watch, or definitely going to contribute to if you are in the local area, because they're very cheap cinema tickets, very cheap popcorn. It's fantastic, and the proceeds all go to a wonderful place in the end of it all. But now, with these projects and what have you, I have to ask a very boring media question. Where do you guys get your film influence from? Do you have anything that you consider, you know?
Yeah, Martin Scorsese who
Mm-hmm.
directed Goodfellas, The Wolf of Wall Street, a lot of very like vibrant crime films. Edgar Wright, who's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like he's I mean he's huge. Edgar Wright, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim v the World. It's just kind of non-stop with his films. There's no point where they just sit and talk. It's all just constant entertainment, just no pissing about. It just kind of doesn't stop, and that's my favorite sort of film. So I say that those two are my biggest influences. There's other influences, like I guess some of the more surreal bits in our films come from like David Lynch and people like that. But I think those two that I've named are the most consistent influences that I have.
Oh, 100%. It's great as well that we're in a generation now where we're very lucky to have influences from any generation. And, you know, speaking with older people, they didn't really have that. They only had like whoever was directing a movie when they were like 15 would be like their inspiration. We can go with anything, and we have so much at our fingertips now that we can go, I like that, I like that, I like that. It's amazing. I really do think so. But so sorry, my mind went blank for a second there. I was about to ask about casting just very briefly, because as a company, I can imagine this varies from production to production, but would you say you retain people, you keep a pool of people around, you hold auditions? I understand you were holding quite a few auditions, Virtual's Pints, if I'm right.
Yeah. So the two main characters in Virtual's Pints are played by like two of the main. So I think the very sent people are quite often people that I trust. They're people that I've worked with before. I would very rarely plunge someone who I've not known for long into a very main role, because the amount I'm working with them, I need to kind of trust them, and I kind of need to be used to them.
Yeah.
But as for supporting roles, there were loads of people that I'd worked with before on other projects. See, I don't just do sometimes the camera films. I do go off and work on other people's projects as well.
Yeah.
So there've been lots of times where I'd worked with someone and I thought, oh, they need to be in this. I need to write a role for them, and that happens. So pretty much all the kind of main and supporting roles, they were written for people with specifically in mind. However, there were loads of minor characters that we had to audition for, and we'd never done auditions before. So kind of like it was a process that I really enjoyed. You know, like having this kind of like all these people whose faces you've never even seen reading your dialogue, and you've got to pick who's the most like you've imagined. I thought that was really fun, and we got some incredible performances out of it. The cast we got in the end was unbelievably talented. I'm really grateful for every single one of them.
And that's all together now. I can imagine everything for Virtual's Pints is casted, obviously, and me and you have a friend who was on set, which was wonderful to hear, just getting some new blood in there. I might be a bit, giving the game away to ask you this, and you're going to say, Josh, I don't want to think about any other films. I'm doing this. Do you have anything else in the pipeline at the moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of course I do. As in which one's going to actually be the next project, I have no idea. There's been two feature films that I've been talking about for years, and I think post Virtual's Pints, when I've got all this time off, I'm gonna like fully write them and see which one I can get made first. As for short films, whatever I actually release next, I've not even come up with the idea for yet. That's gonna be a completely fresh thing that comes before the end of the year and then is released soon after. But in terms of like things that I've got on my mind now, there's two feature films, and I'm not sure which one. There's one that's a horror, like a comedy horror, that I can't wait to make. It's very high concept. Hopefully that gets in the works soon.
Now that does sound exciting to me. I love anything abstract. So we'll see I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that. And just whilst I've got you here, is there anything you wish to, obviously you've been promoting your films, but social medias, particular actors, other things you've been mentioning a lot, but you've gone off and done other things recently. Is there anything you'd like to promote to the audience today?
Yeah, so if you want to follow our journey with our mini-series Virtual Pints, we'd love to have you follow us. On Instagram is the best place to follow us, at Some Guys With a Camera. If you want to find us on anything else, it's usually Some Guys With a Camera or at SGWAC. You'll find us somehow. I've recently worked as a runner on an independent romance film called Kate and Jake, which should be out next year, I think. I'm not too sure, as I wasn't as involved with that as I have been with my own films. But yeah, thank you very much for like following us and keeping up with us. And if you follow the page, you'll be the first to know about about the release, and you'll be able to hopefully be able to see Virtual Pints on Amazon Prime next year.
On Amazon Prime, yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. Somehow.
Yes, it's wonderful because Blackbird got on there as well, didn't it? Is that right? You can find it on.
Did.
Yeah. Great. I'll be putting links in the description to all these things for you, and just thank you for coming on, telling me about your company. I'm very, very appreciative of it.
Amazing. Yeah, that was really fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
No worries at all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody watching, and please give these people the time of day. They work so hard. Bye-bye, guys.